What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bolsley, and that's the one, the only. It is Scott Savage. Scott, what's going on, buddy?
We just discussed my intro. That's funny. I do like you keep the savage. That's how I like to introduce myself backwards.
Dude, it is your last name. Just saying.
You should see it at the voting booth. Savage Scott.
Yeah, that's. I guess so. Yeah, what's not savage is what people can do. All they have to do right now is head over to twitch.tv/theofficial-ITG. Hit us up with a follow, or if you're over on YouTube catching this, you know where it is, youtube.com/theofficial-ITG, where you can subscribe there, help us out, hit that like button, hit that share button. That goes a very long way to help us in the algorithm, of course. But if you can't join us live, that means you just hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, coming up on today's show, PlayStation to announce a third-party state of play. Metal Gear Solid, anybody? The next Assassin's Creed game, Mirage, will be a smaller one in scale, and the Callisto Protocol has disappointed its publisher. We'll talk about that one too. Scott, PSA.
I have thoughts.
Yeah, so absolutely. I got a ton of thoughts, man. This is welcome to ITG Daily. This is where, yeah.
It's how we all found each other.
Right? Dude, here's the base PSA to get started right now. If you are a PlayStation Plus Premium member, you get a 2-hour trial of The Last of Us Part 1 if you have not experienced this game yet. Why, you may ask? Because, Scott, The Last of Us HBO series dropped last night, and I gotta tell you, wow. Yo, this is they starting off strong. Scott, they're starting off real strong. I'm excited to see where it goes. I can't wait.
I'm debating, should I watch a spoiler-free, or should I just hold off? Because I don't know the story from playing the game, that I'm torn.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody else this morning, actually. They said they've never played the game, always wanted to, never played it, watched the first episode. So I asked them, are you going to go play it now? They're like, yep. So they're like, all right, cool. Yeah, no, it's definitely, because you do, if you have played the series like I have, right, and been following around, yo, what's up, Northern Nerdcast? Nope, Metal Gear Solid first party, Sony buying Konami. Wishful thinking. Yeah, dude, we'll see. You never know. I don't know. Konami, it could be the year Konami makes a comeback.
Never say never nowadays.
That's absolutely. Yeah. After Activision, man, Bethesda, anything goes at this point.
Ubisoft right? Is up in the air.
Oh, there's next talk. Yeah.
Maybe that's just more wishful thinking.
Yeah. At this point, save the company. But getting back to the HBO series last night, dude, it hit really hard. It has a lot of moments that you like. I already know the game, right? I played the game several times, so I already know what happens. So I'm kind of going, how are they going to change that up enough that it's not, it's still going to keep me on my toes and wondering what's happening next, because you know the story beats of what's happening. And there's a couple things last night I was like, all right, well done. All right, well done. All right, cool.
I saw a funny joke. I can't remember who said it, but they said, I can't wait till it gets to the part where there's clickers. And you watch Joel die a dozen times, and then the game just turns off.
Right? Yeah, it's
you the authentic experience,
dude. It was one of those things last night. It's one of those, you get the creepy sound, and of course that individual has to go to that creepy sound. You're like, you should just run the other way, right? Like, this isn't going to go well. I don't know why you're going towards the creepy sound, because it's
horror movie 101.
I know, it's just so it gets typical in that sense, right? It's like, okay, creepy noise. Let's go see what it is. No.
See,
creepy noise.
This
Drew
is
goes,
why
I'm out. Creepy noise. I'm going this way. See you later.
If you ever want to watch any horror movies, you do it with me, because I'll be yelling at the TV during those. I'll break it down. It'll be like a commentary.
No. Yeah, so I am watching The Last of Us. It was funny. Kyle hit me up this morning. Drew, you gonna be able to watch it? I'm like, probably not, but I'm going to. We'll see what happens. Dude, it was exciting.
We'll find a way.
It was exciting to see that Last of Us make its way over to television. Not a movie, right? Television, because now they can really tell the story over a course of multiple hours. So last night's first episode was an hour and a half to get things started. Okay. It ended. I'm like, this is where you're gonna end it, eh? Really? That's where it goes? Man, I just wanted to keep going, because oh, dude, I'm excited. Really cool. Really, really cool. Very happy for Naughty Dog to see this come out. Very happy for the cast as well. This is gonna be well received. Everybody, I haven't heard anything bad about it. I haven't seen anything bad about it. And it's one of those, if you don't watch it Sunday night, yo, be careful, spoilers. Just telling you. But Scott, let's get into
the second game was ruined with spoilers as well. So be on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not ready for the first 30 minutes, people who haven't played it. Yeah, right. You need that intro to what. Yeah, Brad, you and I should talk off air about that. Let's get going into today's show as PlayStation to announce third-party content very soon. Snitch claims. This is over at Insider Gaming. Snitch is the leaker in this case. Everybody, the Snitch. That's right, the retired one has jumped into his now public Discord server to let loose with a massive piece of information. According to a reliable source of his, PlayStation is on the verge of announcing third-party content very soon, but little more than that is actually known about it. This is tantalizing information, as there are several projects on the horizon, such as the Metal Gear Solid Remake that is rumored to be announced soon, which would fit the bill perfectly. Needless to say, social circles are already trying to make sense of the cryptic claim, and the suggestion mill is churning out assumptions left and right. It was a month ago that the Snitch announced a bold retirement from leaking and breaking news, but well, he's kind of back. he's not really gone. He took a little hiatus, but yeah, no, it's hard when you get into that role, man. However, the attention now turns to the supposed PlayStation third-party stuff that's potentially being announced very soon. There are high expectations that it could be amongst the Metal Gear Solid remaster, which is all but confirmed at this point, Scott. Dude, we've heard so many times about this thing. I know you're tired of it.
It's come up so many times that I'll believe it when I see it, and I say that every time. But I think it's on the shelf next to Half-Life 3, where it's, of course, it's possible,
right?
But maybe your grandkids will see it.
Dude, I think this is a lot more likely than Half-Life 3.
I'm torn to say I hope so.
Yeah. Brad says I smell a podcast recap. Dude, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think a lot of people will be on that recap for
Boiler Cast. I think you guys should do.
Oh, the Boiler Cast, the Clicker Cast. There, somebody take that one. Yeah, but getting back to Metal Gear Solid, this is all but confirmed. We've been talking about this now forever, what it seems like, right? But the biggest thing for me is that we haven't seen a state of play in so long. What do they have to show? Because we kind of been in a bit of a silence run right now. Holidays were here, right? So granted, everything kind of goes on a bit of a hush and everybody disappears, relaxes, has a great time with the family and friends and stuff. And now that we're getting back into the swing of things, yo, what is next? Gamers are now hungry for 2023. What are we getting this year? Especially out of PlayStation and Xbox, everybody's kind of going, what's up? Because we know for Xbox, we get Redfall and we get Starfield. Besides that, dude, there's a whole lot of questions. They did a roadmap last year of 2023, but still. 12 months.
Do you think PlayStation runs this state of play really heavily on Blizzard Activision content?
No. I doubt that.
Just as a way of, turning the public. But serious question, though. Are the state of plays often only first-party studios?
No, they mix in both. They do mix in both. Yeah.
I know I've seen maybe half a dozen in the last few years, but I don't remember.
Well, so they've done a couple, right? And then the last one I think we really saw was the State Play revealed Tekken 8 and an all new God of War Ragnarok trailer. And from there, it's kind of disappeared, right? There's key updates as well on PlayStation VR 2 and what we saw out of that, what's kind of coming around the corner for that, which, dude, is next month. PSVR 2 is next month. I'm like, oh man, I'm really curious who buys it. Like
I want to see those numbers.
Yeah, absolutely want to see those numbers, because I don't think when you take a look at the lineup, and maybe we'll come back around on this just as our own news topic tomorrow, is the list of announced games. They have something like 30 games coming out in the first window of launch for PSVR 2, and I'm really curious how many are going to connect with a lot of people. Obviously, the big seller right there is Horizon, right? Horizon Call of the Mountain is the big one for PSVR 2 and how that looks. But at the end of the day, when it comes to third-party stuff, Scott, what's coming around the corner? And Konami, I think, is the big opportunity here as to what do they have. Are they going to show us Silent Hill stuff? Probably, right? Because they did announce Silent Hill 2 last year. So maybe we'll get some more insight on that. Will they finally reveal Metal Gear Solid? Please, just get it out there. Everybody knows about it already. So it'd be nice to know how that's going. What game are we actually
marketing-wise? I wonder if that is better. Or is it better just to let us stew for another?
Dude, it gets us buzz, right? It gets us buzz regardless. You just mention it and people talk.
Or is it Boy Who Cried Wolf syndrome, where eventually it'll stealth drop and I won't even look?
Well, there is that too. I no, dude. Metal Gear is a big deal. It is a huge deal. Obviously, granted, we know that Kojima is no longer with Konami, so that's a big issue right there. So that to announce, hey, here's a new Metal Gear Solid game, I don't think would have the same impact as coming around going, hey, we've redone Metal Gear Solid 1, or hey, we've done Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. Because that's the other rumor too, is 3 is getting remade.
Oh, that's the big one.
Oh,
well, that would look amazing in 4K, I have to say.
Oh, please. Yeah, no, absolutely. So there's a lot of that, Scott. Where do you think do you think we see a state of play soon? And do you think we see anything on Metal Gear?
I think we will see a state of play soon because of this Xbox centric, their developer direct, I should say.
That's right.
I think that will cause a reaction. PlayStation will feel the need to answer that, and I think rightfully so. So I'm hoping we see something, but I can't logically hope for Metal Gear. I just don't think it's that plausible.
Oh, well, that's fair.
Although I have my fingers crossed for Resistance, so what do I know?
Yeah, we'll see. Dude, we do have hope, though, for Assassin's Creed Mirage. It's going to be smaller in scale because the fans wanted it, Scott. Ubisoft listened. We wanted a smaller scale game. Oh, dude, absolutely, right? This for sure. This is Osen over at VG247. Assassin's Creed Mirage, set to release sometime this year, promises to be smaller than the last few games, and fans of the series are the ones to thank for it. Revealed in September last year, after a series of leaks, of course, coming from Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Mirage was a welcome announcement among fans of the series. The last few iterations, like Valhalla and Odyssey, moved the games more towards the RPG genre rather than the stealth-focused gameplay the first game brought to the table. Absolutely, Scott. Now, granted, you could sneak around to a certain extent. Valhalla, very hard to sneak when you're doing raids because you got to blow your horn before you can access a chest. Like, that just blows your cover.
I've been jokingly thinking about how Valhalla, you could literally just become Kratos after the sound of that horn.
Pretty much.
And not much would change.
No.
But that's not the Assassin's Creed that I like. I'm not trying to say that it's a bad game or whatever. It stands alone.
Yeah.
On its own, and it's great. But I'm such a big fan of the old school way of doing it. I'm glad to see them split, if that is indeed how it goes.
Absolutely. But Mirage is going to the series' roots. And according to a recent interview with Games Radar with Ubisoft director Stefan Badon, part of the reasoning behind scaling down is thanks to the fans. Quote, Mirage creation has been the convergence of several inputs. End quote. Badon said. A quote, of course, the first one comes from our community. Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, they all had great games with a premise to live to live an epic journey in a strong fantasy. The scopes have been calibrated to fulfill those ambitions as they all embrace the RPG mechanics. But amongst our fans, we started hearing the desire for a character-driven story, focused on the core pillars of the first Assassin's Creed in a more intimate scale. It resonates with us as well as developers, and this was the starting point of the project, end quote. Though, unsurprisingly, it's not just because of the fans that this project is being undertaken. Badon explained that Ubisoft Bordeaux found Mirage to be the perfect project, Scott, following the release of Assassin's Creed Valhalla DLC, Wrath of the Druids, as it was more focused, scoped, and more time to polish up important features, all part of the team wanting to match the want of a smaller game. Pretty exciting, Scott. We're going to go back to the roots, man.
Super excited. I think they could have chosen the Japan school themed one to revert back to kind of the stealthy technique, but I would rather them kind of find their footing before that one releases. If this is kind of the test subject for that, then I'm all for it. But I'm still thinking of shedding the RPG mechanics because the world is one thing, but I do appreciate the large scale. But when it comes to the RPG mechanics, let me put it in a different way. If it were Hitman, okay, a beloved franchise to you and I.
Yeah.
My favorite execution, you may recall, the screwdriver. Okay.
Yep.
Now, can you imagine if that screwdriver hit its mark and the guy just kept fighting?
Yeah.
That doesn't make much sense, does it?
No, dude. So when it came to Valhalla, right? You're hitting headshots with your arrow. And sometimes it
No,
would take them out, and
it's
sometimes
not
it
enough.
wouldn't, right? It's just sometimes it's not powerful enough because the enemy you're fighting is that tier above the lower one, right? So it's just like, dude, a headshot's a
Like, what,
headshot.
yeah, what does he have, a skull like mine?
Yeah, he's got titanium in there. Like, what's going on? So it does have one of those things. It's kind of, I want to go back, dude. I want to go back to the days of Ezio and Altair, where it is focused heavily on the stealth mechanics, sneaking in. Even going into Unity, there was a lot of stealth opportunity, and I hope they kind of take that sandbox opportunity from Unity to present itself with options, right? We have now gone in the way of Dishonored, have gone in the way of Hitman, where you can go to your target, but it's not just a beeline to your target. It is, you have multiple entry points to go and assassinate who you need to take out. And how you get there is kind of that sandbox opportunity, and it's completely up to you. And I'm hoping
that's where the challenge is.
Exactly, right? So all of a sudden, I'm like, Scott, I took out my guy this way. And you're like, whoa, man, I didn't even think about going that way. I went this way instead. I went, huh, I never even knew you could go that way, right? So all of a sudden now you get into these, like, I'm going to go old school here, but those water cooler moments where everybody's talking around going, hey, did you do this? Or those saying, those school days when you're back in school going, hey, I did this, I did that. And
Dishonored. You have Dishonored on my head.
It's such a great game.
That one party where you can go up into the rafters and go the whole level that way.
Yep.
I talked to people who've played without even looking up.
Right?
What? That's how I played the whole game.
Dude, the higher up I was, that means I was out of sight. And that's the way I took it too. I wanted to go to that next level. So it was one of those things. Dude, it's very interesting to see it kind of hitting that way that everybody wants to go back to the old days of Assassin's Creed. And I'm excited to go that route. And I cannot wait to get back into those much more stealth heavy focused elements. So I'm curious, how big does Mirage become, Scott? Are we down to, like, even Altair's days, like, those weren't small maps. They were much smaller than what we see now, obviously, in Assassin's Creed, but they're still pretty big.
I feel like if we're on foot running around like Vice City, just think about how big that map is. Maybe that'll work. Yeah, I'd be satisfied with that. Just, it doesn't have to be the biggest, transatlantic.
Yeah, for sure. Right? But man, Odyssey, you pull that map and you're like, I gotta sail here now, and I gotta go sail over there, and then I gotta sail over here, and it is just
and then
huge.
A few hours later, it hits you with the title screen, and the map gets bigger.
Dude, I was like 20 hours in before I saw that thing even pop. I was like, what the? It was funny. Very funny. But either way, Scott, let's move on to the Callisto Protocol. Reportedly hasn't met publisher sales expectations. Jordan Midler over at VGC. The Callisto Protocol has reportedly seen disappointing sales numbers, failing to recoup a report of $162 million budget. This has caused investors to publish Krafton to lower their target stock price in response. According to MK Odyssey, the game reportedly cost over $162 million to develop, a budget that the sales of the game have not matched. Scott, is this just a little too much coming out of Callisto Protocol for their first, for Krafton to kind of take a different approach than PUBG?
Yeah, this wasn't PUBG at all. They're stepping into a brand new market. And you have to respect that a little bit. But at the same time, it really aimed up to be a slam dunk. It's really strange to me that they couldn't recuperate costs. That's far lower than I would have expected.
Yeah, no, absolutely. $162 million is nothing to sneeze at either, though, right? Just to produce the game. But for comparison, Resident Evil Village, the 8th mainline entry in the hugely popular franchise, managed 6 million units in its first 6 months, despite the profile of the franchise and strong reviews. Scott, nothing is fair game anymore, man. Like, you never quite know where you're going to land.
Yeah, well, Scorn taught me that one, too.
Well, there's another one.
Well, like, this horror, it was supposed to be like the feast of horror, but it just didn't quite end up that way. And Callisto Protocol does have a small part in that. I'm not truly disappointed in the game. I don't believe I've shared my thoughts on this, actually.
Yeah, give us the rundown, because we didn't review it for the show, right? So, Scott, what are your thoughts on Callisto Protocol as a whole? Have you completed it?
Okay, well, I have to begin there. I'm quite certain I'm right at the end.
Okay.
I don't know because I haven't paid attention to any spoilers at all, but I'm in a boss fight, we'll say. It takes all your ammunition. It's not the first one, and I think this might be the end. But what I've seen so far is that the game is not Dead Space. And I don't think it ever was supposed to be, but
Right.
because of the association, people think, okay, this is going to be a Dead Space. And I understand that too. But it has its own identity. It doesn't have to ride off the curtails of Dead Space. And I think that's kind of where this negative perception comes from, because you're comparing it to another game and it's not that. But what you get in Callisto Protocol is a lot more of a fighting game.
Yeah.
More than a
More
horror
melee,
kind
right?
of thing.
A lot of melee.
Yeah, it pops up, and I'm doing combos that I've recognized over time, and it's much more of like a fighting onslaught than it is horror.
Interesting. Speaking of Dead Space, though, Scott, John Carpenter thinks another director is working on a Dead Space film. Tom Ivan over at VGC. Last October, the famed director of horror films, including Halloween, The Thing, and The Fog, was asked about if he'd ever thought about adapting a game. Quote, "The only one I can think of, and I've mentioned it before, is Dead Space," end quote. He told the AV Club, quote, "That would make a real great movie. I could do that," end quote.
Oh, it would.
Scott, what are your thoughts?
I can't even contain myself here. I'm hopping on my chair because the idea of John Carpenter taking care of something so graphically horrific like Dead Space, and the idea of his filmmaking style is all about practical effects coming from The Thing, what better to show that off?
Sure.
That being done on a Dead Space palette is beautiful. I can't think of a better combination, really.
Well, he had this to say, Scott, quote, "I'm a big video game fan, so I played all the games," end quote. He said, quote, I was down looking at the new digital cameras, the Red, and happened to mention to them that I would love to do a Dead Space film. That just went around and everybody said, "Oh, when are you going to do it?" I'm not going to do it. I think they already have another director involved, and and they haven't asked me to do it. So until someone asks me, I wouldn't do it. Scott, the biggest question then is, if nobody's doing it right now, wouldn't they just ask them?
Yeah, I think this would beg the invitation.
Well, that's just it.
And I can't imagine any fan of Dead Space, and I challenge any of them. Is there a better director that would take it on?
That's fair.
Would it be Rob Zombie perhaps for kind of a twisted angle?
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't know if there's anybody better than John Carpenter. I don't know if he works well with others, but a combination. Let's get the whole Justice League in there.
That's fair. Scott, what didn't work well with others was Google. Google releases its humble, quote, test title on Stadia for one last hurrah. This is Osin again over VG 24/7. Google Stadia has just seen the release of its last ever game before it shuts down this week. Scott, it's over this week. We say goodbye. We say farewell to Google Stadia. This is their test game. Okay? This is their test game that they based everything off of to launch this thing. Play the game. So here's the quote from the game. "Play the game that came to Stadia before Stadia came to the world." Reads the game's description on its Stadia page. "Worm Game is a humble title we used to test many of Stadia's features, starting well before our 2019 public launch, right through 2022. Scott, this is just hard, man. This one hurts. This one reminds me of Minesweeper a little bit, kind of thing, right?
It's giving me what was it? Snake?
Yep.
The old school game? Okay, because that's the one I was thinking.
It's like
Snake
and Minesweeper.
Dating myself. I played that on my first phone that I got in grade 8, and it had Snake. Excellent.
It's too funny. It's unfortunate. Dude, it's so unfortunate that this is the way Stadia went. We expected to be around here a lot longer playing Stadia than them shutting it down already. But we did see the writing on the wall, dude, like 2 years ago. You start shutting down your internal development side of things in your studios, and Jade Raymond, I'm like, that's the telling tale right there. And you've seen a lot of people bail out of Stadia. You just kind of question, where is everybody going? What are they doing now? And it's so disappointing because they led the charge with cloud streaming. But either way, Scott, we do have one game out today, my friend. What do we have?
We have the aptly named Burger Bistro Story on PC.
Well, there we go. Just one game for you to enjoy today. Scott, that's going to wrap up today's show, everybody. This has been ITG Daily, the place that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live over on Twitch and YouTube at the official ITG. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Until tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew. That's Scott. We'll see you inside the game.